Yes, yes, yes. Shout to all my mic-minded people locked in. I'm back with another guest episode. Do you know what? This year, we're flying. We're flying. I've had several amazing guests on the bounce. Tonight, of course, is no exception. And yeah, I feel like it's just good vibes at the moment. Big up everyone that's listening and tuning into the pod. When I'm out and about in the clubs and the raves at the weekends, people are coming up and saying they're enjoying the episodes and they just love hearing the conversations. And that's what it's all about. The culture, the craft, the conversation, all for the love of MCs. And of course, I've got a special guest MC joining me for this episode who goes by the name of Vispera. You know what? Sometimes I just like to jump straight into the podcast. We've had a little chat off camera. There's no point doing the, oh, hey, hi, how you doing sort of stuff. We've done all that. Vispera, this is what I want to know. How would you describe what you do on the mic?
Hello, Phil. Thank you so much for having me on. What a great question to start for mic-minded people. How would I describe what I do on the mic? I would say that I like to narrate the raves with a poetic element to my language, with a Manchester accent, coming from my experience as a female in the scene and trying to be as creative with my words as I can and try and, uplift the vibe energy, be part of the rave. It's an honour to be able to hold the mic at raves and be that narrator of the space, and I enjoy it very much. So, yeah, doing it with a lot of gratitude as well.
Yeah, we love that. We love that. It's all about the gratitude. Narrator of the space. That's sick. That's got to be one of your bars, right? That's got to be, if that isn't, then that blatantly is going to become something that you write after. Do you know what? I might even...
Yeah, it's not to be fair.
I can't slyly nick that, can I, now that we've said it on the podcast?
You called it. I don't think it's in one of mine.
Narrator of the space. I love that. Wow, I'd never... If someone asked me about, how would you describe your MC and what you do... Well, I didn't ask you that. I said, what you do on the mic. And that was actually quite deliberate. And then you said what I was almost thinking in the back of my mind, having listened to your music and, I've been chatting to you a little bit in the past, that, poetic. I feel like that almost needed to be in there, and you said it. So talk to me a little bit about, break that down a bit, man, narrator of the space and the poetical element to it.
Sure. Well, the poetic element, I've always got to say it because that's my roots really with coming into MCing. Before I stepped into the drum and bass scene, as an adolescent, I got into spoken word and slam poetry while I was at school. That was something that came into my life when I was about 14. I think I was in about year 9. And this amazing facilitator and mentor called Chris Jam came in and got put with a group of us, sort of coming into drama class, and just showed us what spoken word was really, and opened my eyes to the world of performing writing. And that was what fueled me for a long time, and what I really enjoyed doing. And that was back before my raving days. So I think that really has caused, that's really the root of where my art, where my writing, where everything sort of came from for me. It was through doing performance poetry and things like that. So I think I've always got to mention that. It's always got to slide into the bio somewhere, because I owe everything to do with Vispera to do with that.
That's
really
sick. But that's your roots. That's truly you. Do you know what I mean? And I love that. And it's a bit different. Let's pick that apart as well. So then you're talking about performance poetry, spoken word. Did you say slam poetry?
Yeah, poetry slam.
Yeah. So what are all it like to? I think I know the difference between these, but just pretend that I don't, or just for the listeners who may well not know what these things are, can you unpack that a bit?
Sure thing. It's kind of a different scene, but also so similar in so many ways. Spoken word is essentially performance poetry. It's acapella poetry. I think that it's a medium that not only communicates meaning through the language, but also the physicality of the performance, the tone of the voice, the rhythm, the space and the stage, which is all elements of the MC craft as well, I guess. And then slam poetry, a poetry slam is that in a sort of competitive context. So people would come up with a poem, usually it has to be under 3 minutes, and they perform it, and people vote for the winner. And I spent, when I was like a bit late in my teens, I got quite into that when I was living in Bristol, and did quite a bit of uni and stuff. Did a lot of it at university, and it was really fun. It was really good for sort of really focusing on writing and the editing process to make something when it's in that sort of competitive context. So that was where I developed my voice, really. But I think while I really enjoyed going to poetry nights, going to slams and stuff, while I was also at that age, I was also really into music and drum and bass and going out, and I wanted to find a way that I could bring that poetry background and do it in the rave context where I was going out more, and try and transfer it to that. And that was sort of the motivation behind trying to learn to MC and start doing Vispera stuff.
Obviously, we're going to get deep into the music side of things, but I'm still keen on this to explore this poetry thing a little bit more, because I don't think I've had this conversation with anyone other than yourself so far. And I remember writing poems and stuff at school, not in any particular great way, just, it was a part of English and writing stories and creative writing. So yeah, with the poetry slam, it sounds a little bit like a poetry version of a clash.
I guess
or
it
rap
is.
battle. Is that basically how it is?
I think it is, but without the personalization aspect of clashes and battles. Like, you're not really saying stuff against your opponents, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's more just you bring a poem,
course.
and you bring a poem, and it's just, it can be about absolutely anything.
Right.
Sometimes the weirder and more abstract concepts tend to do better, but I think one thing that made me move away from that a bit is the fact that that it is being judged in that way, that you are assigning a numerical value to someone's words and someone's experience and someone's self-expression. And at the end of the day, you can't really do that. Like, I think what someone has to say in their value and their expression with words, sometimes it's not the right thing to start pitting that against each other and marking it, and it's so much of the result can depend on the subjectivity of the judges in those contexts, who are often professional, successful poets themselves or writers themselves. But it just brings into all sorts of issues of like, why are they the ones that are credible, or are the ones that are allowed to value or systemize and say what's better than another, what poem is better than another poem, when really it's, I think, such a personal thing. And
it's also subjective, isn't it? It's subjective, and you're obviously, like you just said, it's personal. I guess with anything that's personal, there's degrees of vulnerability that come along with it. So if you're putting yourself into, it's interesting, isn't it? Like combining something that's creative and personal and therefore vulnerable to putting that into a competitive arena where you get judged and scored. So was it literally like someone would hold up the scorecard, like on what's in my head, that
Strictly Come Dancing or something?
And they come to like Anton, whoever the judge is, and they're like, right, you've got 8. Is that what it was like?
Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, did
they give you feedback to say like what what equates to 7, for instance?
Yeah, I think you'd get marked on the ones I went to. Sometimes you'd get 1 score for the writing and 1 score for the performance. So say if they were really impressed with the actual words that were said, but maybe they didn't think the delivery was strong enough, that would reflect in the marks as well, which I kind of like as well, because that kind of acknowledges that there's different levels of expression and different sort of facets of the craft, which is interesting. But essentially I think you'd get a score, and you could go and chat to the judges after, and they'd tell you a bit more feedback about it. But it was a quick pace thing. They have to make a decision quite quickly on what they're going to mark you, and then you'd go through to a final, and people would have to come with another poem, and there'd be
Okay.
teams. I did a thing called Unislam where different universities sort of provided like a team of poets, and you'd work together to get your bank of poems good, and then you'd go and do it against each other. So it was really all about networking, really, and like
Yeah.
getting to meet
So there's
other
a
writers.
scene. There's a scene like just like there is with music.
100%. I'm not
Poetry
so much
scene.
as active in it anymore, but it was definitely very instrumental in like my writing and who I am now.
Yeah, of course, man. That's sick. And the other thing it makes me think of is because when you write when we look at it through the context of MCing, when an MC writes bars, I've never thought about this before. You've just given me something to think about. So when an MC writes bars, it's just a given, pretty much. There is one caveat, but it's just a given that you write it and you spit it, i.e., you write and perform.
It's designed
So
to be heard.
it's almost like I've never thought about it as being two separate things. But obviously in poetry or any form of writing, but yeah, poetry, then the world you're describing, most people would think a poet is someone that sits and writes poems. So they could be really strong in that field. But then in this arena that you're describing, then they've also got to be able to take that off of the page and perform it. So yeah, I've never thought about it being like that. And the caveat I was going to throw in is that there is, of course, a world that exists where people do write lyrics for MCs to spit. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. It always like blew my mind that I was listening to a podcast. I'll say this really quickly. I've started, so I'll finish. But I think I've said this on the last 2 episodes. People will be thinking, I know what he's going to say. I wish he'd fucking shut up about Vibes Cartel. But listening to a Vibes Cartel podcast, and he said, with no fucks given, that he was in the studio and there was about 10 people in there just writing bars for him, writing hooks. Hey, we've got this one. Yep, boom, go in the booth and spit this one. And it's like, he's one of the leading, he's like a massive artist. And it wasn't even like he was saying it like people, like he even thought that's a thing. And obviously, I don't know how you feel about that, but for me, and like, is it ego, is it pride, or is it just a given that in the worlds that we inhabit, you don't really spit someone else's lyrics, do you? Or you don't, I don't know, you don't recite someone else's work. Do you understand what I mean? What do you think about that?
I think that, I think for me personally, I think it's the same for you. Like the writing and the words that we say is such a fundamental and maybe like one of the best bits of it. And why would you want anyone else to choose what you say? Like that's the power that you get. And for us personally, but I think with what you were saying about how there's the distinction I spoke about with the judging, with the writing and the performance element. I think that when you take it to music, when you take it to MCing beyond spoken word and poetry, when you add that whole nother level, it's not just the writing and the performance, it's how it interacts with the music. It's the musicality of it, it's the rhythm of it, all these extra levels. And, maybe for some artists, that's their skill, that's their focus, like the sound that they're creating there, how they capture stages, how they turn those words into music, into flow. And maybe someone like Vibes Cartel, when that's so distinctive for him as an artist, that's the important bit, that's the unique offering, and he's more bothered about that than the actual, what's actually being said. And maybe he's depending on other people to choose those words. But yeah, for me personally, I think that probably my strength is the writing. I had to learn how to do the hosting and the flow and to the musicality of it. That wasn't quite as natural for me. So I really appreciate those as separate crafts and separate skills that need to be developed. But I wouldn't ever let anyone take the writing part away from me because, that's where I started
you're a
from.
writer at heart. That's what you started out doing, and you've got a love for language. And like you described it so beautifully at the beginning of the chat, is that you're there to be the narrator. Do you know what I mean? So you're channeling like what you write on the page has got an energy to it, which you then translate and release into the rave or the club or the dance or whatever. So yeah, it's all wrapped up. It's all one thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you're right about the hosting as a separate skill, crowd control, performance, voice projection, timing, writing. Fucking hell, when I break it down, I'm actually like, wow, all of us MCs, and I'm talking to the whole MC conscious collective out there, we are sick.
Definitely. Like if there was like a
It's hard,
university
man.
course for being an MC, think about how many modules there'd have to be. Like how you could
It's
break it
hard, isn't
down
it?
into
And
all
you've got
these
the
separate
DJ
little
thrown in, like,
things
with,
and criteria.
yeah, yeah. No, that is. I'd love. Yeah, I wonder if there was. Pretty sure there is like a university course in
Is
rapping
there?
and
Where? I wonder where
MCing.
I would do that.
Yeah, yeah. Big up ACMC. I know he's something to do with this world of education and rap and MCing within education. I might have to speak to him. But
Nice.
yeah, then you throw a DJ into the mix, and the DJ, and I think what a lot of people don't necessarily realise is that half the time we don't know what the DJ is going to play. I mean, you might work with a certain DJ, or that it might be more of a showcase kind of set where there's an element of pre-planning it or a set list or whatever. But a lot of the time, you're there 1, 2, 3 hours vibing. You don't know what direction they're going to take it, so you've got to do all the things that we just talked about, whilst navigating, never really knowing what the next track's going to be, how long it's going to be in the mix for. Bam, bam, bam. Like, yeah, it's a lot.
Definitely. Yeah, doing it on the fly, just going with the flow and yeah, putting all those skills into action in the moment for everyone to witness. And
It's a big
that's what's so
ass
great about
toolkit that we carry,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, what about pre-slam poetry and like everything that you've just been breaking down for me, which is really interesting? What about pre that? Like, is there music in your life before that, or was that the beginning of your interest in music and lyrics and stuff?
Ooh, pre that. There was definitely music in life before. I've always enjoyed it. I've always liked rap. I've always liked hip hop. Back when I was younger, almost feeling like it wasn't always the music for me to be listening to, but I wanted to listen to it, if that makes sense. And
What kind of
wanting to.
stuff? What do you remember? What are you referring to?
I'm just looking at my pile of old CDs.
Anything that jumps out.
Old like Tupac, Lauryn Hill CDs. I loved like Tribe Called Quest when I was younger. Old school hip hoppy stuff.
Like kind of 90s boom bap.
Yeah, and
Sort of golden era stuff. What I would call like golden era hip hop, like Tribe Called
definitely.
Quest.
But the way that I got into that, I've got to be honest, was through Rizzle Kicks when I was about 13.
Okay, sick. No, we like Rizzle Kicks. Come on.
Yeah, they were in the charts, and I think that I really loved that, and then that made me want to actually listen more to rap and hip hop and things like that. In terms of music, I was also I played piano as a kid, not very well, but I didn't take it too seriously. But my dad's friend's partner was a piano teacher moving over from Iceland and banking up her teaching experience and gave me lessons for very, very cheap. So I was very lucky that I got to have a little entrance into the world of like instruments and sheet music and how music works in that sense. And although I wasn't that great at it, I didn't take it too seriously, I did enough to allow myself to get onto A-level music course when I was at college. And like I'd scraped to grade 5, which was enough. And I thought, I could actually do this. I'm going to actually have a go at this. And it was a really hard course. Like it's academic, and it's a lot of, everyone else seemed to be like grade 8 and they'd been doing music since they were like, babies in orchestras and things. And it was one of the first times that I'd felt like I was really the worst at something in a class. And like that gave me a sort of motivation to really try and like get better at it at that time. And it taught me a lot of lessons in terms of like, if you want to be good at something, if you want to get better at something, dedication and effort and just trying to do something and see it through. And because I didn't have that natural kind of ability for it, but I pushed it and I got that A-level in the end. And I remember thinking like, well, I'm not really, a skilled musician. I'm way behind everyone else in this sort of thing. I'm not, great at the performance element of piano, but I find it so interesting. I love it. But I remember just thinking like, I'm not really gonna take this further, and I went down a different path and stuff from there. But then it wasn't until I was and still in lockdown when me and my mate Amy Lilith decided to try and have a crack at DJing, that I kind of got back into actually like practicing music, and that was kind of what also married me wanting to step into the drum and bass world and bring my poetry experience and bring it together. And like
Okay.
the knowledge that I had, just the little bits of knowledge I had about rhythm and timing and tone and melody and all that, just it came back round in a helpful way when I came into like the music stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I've got a massive musical background, but the little bit that I was lucky enough to engage with and push myself to improve in, did turn out to be helpful in drum and bass and spin bars and
It
that sort
sounds
of
to me
thing.
like you've got a pretty deep musical background. I don't know, man. I don't know many people that have done like A levels and played piano and performed in, and then done the whole, performance poetry thing,
I guess
and
so,
then tied it in
yeah.
with
I
the
guess
DJ, and like that's
I
not
was
that it
very
matters
lucky to
anyway.
do
Like
it.
it doesn't matter what the background doesn't make the MC or the person. Do you know what I mean? But it's just
No.
interesting that you've done all that sort of stuff. I didn't realize that you'd gone down that route as well. So yeah, that's interesting, man. So at what point did you? I know, and you have mentioned that you're originally you grew up in Manchester, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, born and raised.
What influence do you think that has had or may have had on your stylistically
Very,
in what you do?
very big influence. I think when I was there's so many great MCs from Manchester, and my earliest going out days, my earliest sort of experience of raves and that was very much narrated by the Levels MCs that were doing all the raves at the time, like T-Man, Sparks, Chunky, Black Josh, Skittles, True Foss Mufasa. All of them were the ones when I was about just before I was allowed to be in the clubs, but still trying to get out and about. They were the ones that were everywhere, and I
Fake
was
ID
just
crew, yeah.
fake ID crew, Antwerp Mansion ones. Like they were the ones that I was like, wow, like seeing them commanding the raves with sick bars, the energy, just the coolness of it. I was just at the front and just mesmerized by that. And I think that was what first planted a little seed of me wanting to, just thinking how awesome would it be to do that, like to do something like that. Like Strategy is a massive inspiration for me as well. DRS, like I think the lyricism that's come out of Manchester is just some of the best, and it's been very, very, very instrumental in shaping my style. I think after those days, I moved to Bristol, and that was also super influential in terms of drum and bass, and having the confidence a bit more down there to have a go with it, and meeting a few DJs, meeting people who mix, trying to understanding how like the scene works a bit better, and then when I came back to Manchester a couple of years ago, I feel like I came with a bit of experience that I like a starting point that I could develop as an artist from, and
Yeah. You started earning your stripes by the sounds of it.
slightly, yeah.
Slightly. So just so I understand the timeline, because I do like a good timeline. Then so you started going raving in Manchester.
Yeah.
You then moved to Bristol to go to uni.
Yes.
So what kind of year? What sort of years it is? Just timestamp it for me if you can.
Oh,
Roughly.
this was when I was 17, 18. So I went to uni. I think 2015. I think I moved to
Right.
Bristol.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. Because you mentioned lockdown as well. I'm trying to think in my head. I'm just
Yes.
trying to like navigate all these
Yes.
different dates and just years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So
moved to
uni. Yeah.
Bristol.
Uni was
Yeah.
like circa 2015 or thereabouts.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's when it
Yeah.
started.
Bristol. Wow. What a place to. I actually lived in Manchester for a little while. In 99, 2000.
Nice.
I lived in Longsight.
Oh, nice. Not too far away.
Yeah. It was
Did
an
you enjoy
interesting
it?
experience, man.
Were you MCing around then in Manchester?
Yeah, a little bit. Only a little bit. Like we've been doing stuff in Hitchin where I grew up, and then some of my friends went to uni in Manchester, And I wasn't really doing anything at the time. I was sort of bumming about and lost my direction a bit. And they were like, look, got a spare room in this house. Like, it's just like pay X amount a week, like cash in hand type thing, no contract. Do you want to come up? So I basically lived the uni lifestyle without actually getting a degree.
Sweet.
Which I don't know if that was better or worse, really. But yeah, I spent a year there, and we'd go out raving all the time. Did some pirate radio up there. Did like a uni radio. We put on a night. I doubt the club's there anymore. There was a club called Generation X, which is off. I never know. I can never remember if it's Oxford Road or Oxford Street that goes through the city.
A lot of the clubs there. Yeah.
There was a big night there called Viagra Falls, and Ton Piper was tearing it up at that time. Tom Piper and Bandit, two brothers, them two were like the X-Man and Herbs of Manchester. They were smashing the circuit. So we'd go raving to that, and then, like I say, we put a few nights on and did like a few little bits and pieces. But it was good, man. But I just feel like every day it rained that I was in Manchester. And then the mad thing is that in April, I've been there roughly about a year. In April, I just, for various reasons, I had to move back to Hitchin. And on that day, it's just like beautiful sunshine, blue skies. I was thinking, what?
Oh,
this
no.
Is mad.
It is super rainy.
But yeah, look, this isn't about me. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I've got a tiny little bit of skin in the game when it comes to Manchester. And I was lucky enough to go to, there's a place called the Dry Bar, and Genergy, it was broken English. Genergy, DRS and Strategy would do like open mic nights and like proper like freestyle hip hop where the crowd would like, someone throw a word out and the crowd would say,
No,
and then they'd weave it into the bar. It was sick.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
That trigger was about a lot. Like, you just see all these people, you just be like, this is before the sort of Skittles and Chimpo kind of era. That was a little bit later. But yeah, no, big up all the Manchester crew, man. So okay, boom. So yeah. So you went to Bristol, and again, like another melting pot, another hub of music and culture and vibes. So when you think back to your time in Bristol, what are the kind of important bits that jump out at you in terms of the building of the evolution of Vispera?
Oh, the collective nights at Crofters with like Gusto MCing them all, kind of sofa soundy type crew on set would run them. I think it was on like one Thursday every month, and that was very instrumental in shaping the kind of sound I liked for drum and bass. I was also going to a lot of like the Blue Mountain sort of £1 nights, like the student-y ones as well. Just getting a proper flavour for it all. I had an ex-boyfriend who was learning to DJ, and he was the first kind of person I'd met who could mix, and the first time I'd seen like how mixing works. And seeing them actually like, getting tunes and making sets and thinking about how things work together. So that really helped my understanding of not just going to these raves to like enjoy the music, but like thinking about the craft of how it gets put together and what's going on there, and just really developing my interest for that more and more. And what else? Lakota nights, going to Motion for the big ones, Thekla. I was into my bass line a lot when I first moved to Bristol as well. And the 140, the dub teachings in dub, like
is that Khan and Neek, were they around?
Yeah.
Did you see them?
Oh yeah, definitely. Loved that as well. There's
I was
just
listening
I
found a couple of their tunes today on my laptop, and I was like, oh my God, Khan and Neek was, and they still play, I don't know if they do now, but last time I saw them, they were still playing like acetate dub plates on a Technics turntable in a rave. This is only a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like proper Soundman stuff. Sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got the 140 in the mix, the bass line, just like bass music, just soaking it all up. But what DNB is the main thing for you at that time?
I think DNB became the main thing from there. Yeah. DNB was definitely what I wanted to have a go at. And when there's an organisation called Saffron who promote and encourage women in dance music and in like the live event sectors in general. And around the time of lockdown, I think, or a bit after, when me and my friend Amy were trying to learn to DJ, they did a course that was called Mix Nights. I'm not sure, I think they might still be running it, but they did quite a few rounds of it. And it was a really great course where basically you applied and you could get a spot, and they did DJ workshops in Pirate, and you'd go with other women and you'd learn the basics and practice together in a really safe environment. And I was really lucky to get like a funded spot on that course, and it culminated in a showcase where you had to go and play like a half an hour set. And I remember being the only, I think I was the only one that wanted to play drum and bass for it. And I remember them being a bit like, oh, like drum and bass isn't not easy, you know. I was like, I only want to do drum and bass. And
So you're mixing. This is a DJ set.
Yes. So this was when I was
sick.
before, this was kind of before Vispera stuff. I was trying to learn DJing a bit as well. And that was a really nice experience and a really fun experience, and really like fueled my passion for it a bit more. And then it was with my friend Amy that we were practicing mixing together, and we were meeting up and going pirate and trying to get a hang of DJing, and trying to collect tunes and try and figure out back to backs and whatnot, and really enjoying it. And then we went to do a stream at Goat Shed Studios, RIP, what a place. And like we just booked a little like stream session at Goat Shed, and was so nervous to go and do it. And then we did it, and then straight after the sound engineer Noah Edmonds, bless him, was like, oh, you can have a residency if you want. And we were like, oh, we could do more shows, we could do more of this, what? And so then we started Forbidden FM, which was our little radio kind of channel. And it was me and Amy basically mixing back to back, and then me gradually gaining slightly more confidence to try and spit a few bars at the same time. And that was the first bit of MCing, really. Like, I was just like, okay, we've got this. While Amy's mixing, I might have a go at saying something. And if you look back at some of those early clips now, it's like, it's not very good. but it was,
Come on.
We
all start somewhere, and
definitely.
Yeah, I started my first foray really properly was the garage era.
Yeah.
I've got some cringy tapes. I've actually got them. I was thinking the other day, should I upload this or not, just for a laugh? Like, I sound like Corrupt FM, but I'm trying to be serious.
I'd love to hear that.
Worse than Corrupt FM, like Corrupt FM on steroids. That's what I sounded like. So yeah, I'm sure we all look back at those days and look at ourselves.
It's good though, isn't it? I
it's great.
You should look back at stuff and cringe a bit.
It's
that shows you've grown. That shows you developed, and it shows that you're progressing. So. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're starting to pick up the mic. You're doing the live streams in Bristol. What do you feel like was the moment you started to get a bit more traction? Like it's beyond, it's gone beyond, oh, I might pick up the mic, but I'm not sure, to like, oh, okay, right, I am doing this.
My first proper booking, I think, was with Full Spectrum in Bristol. Shouts to the Full Spectrum. Familiar Fee, who is part of the Full Spectrum fam, and me and her were working at a festival, and just chatting about what we do. And I think I had the confidence, for whatever reason, to mention, oh, I'm starting to MC. And she's like, oh, I do events. We're looking for female MCs all the time because they're all about diversity in drum and bass. And she was kind enough to take a chance and just give me a set. And I was hosting for, I think it was, I can't remember whether it was Misled or Creatures was the first set I did with them. But, really great established artists, both of them. And I'd not had a ton of experience at all at this point, but they were kind enough to take that chance and give me that opportunity. And from there, just more came, really. But yeah, really, really always going to be so grateful for Full Spectrum for that, for giving that opportunity. And I think that's so important. Like, I think that one of the great things about diversity focused brands is sort of acknowledging that maybe you're going to give people opportunities that aren't quite as experienced, but that's what you've got to do in order to widen the playing field and give them that necessary experience to allow them to develop as artists and give them those skills. And that's how it's all going to balance out sort of in the long run a bit more.
Yeah, of course, man. This is it, isn't it? It's like catch-22, isn't it? Like how are you ever going to get experience if you don't get given a chance to experience something. Do you know what I mean?
And it's
Or
all
earn your
about
stripes
experience,
somehow.
isn't it? With them,
Yeah,
I just can't. I think then I was just like, you know what? I'm saying yes to absolutely any opportunity I get, anything that anyone asks me to do, any stream, any meeting up, any mix. Just yes, yes, yes.
got the
Get as
hunger.
much. Yeah. Just knowing that. That was, I was about 25 at that time as well. Like I wasn't super young coming into it, so I was aware that people around me, who other BMCs might have been doing this since they were, early teenagers, and I was aware that I felt like I needed to catch up in my experience. I felt like I wanted to develop as quick as possible and learn as quick as possible and do as much in as little time as possible. And I think that approach is useful to have. Like to a certain point, I think that hunger is really necessary. And then once you've got a bit more of that experience and you've said yes to everything, maybe then you can afford to think about not burning yourself out over it a bit more.
Yeah. Then it almost at some point, probably years down the line, but at some point it flips, doesn't it? And you have to start learning how to say no to things because saying yes has led you to. I totally get it. I totally agree. Like when you're starting out, you're hungry, got that drive, then it's like, yeah, boom, 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 I'm up for this, I'm going to do that. But yeah, at some point you realise that I'm saying yes to things that I'm not really feeling or that aren't really pushing me in the direction I want to go. So yeah, it can flip round. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're in Bristol, you're hungry, you're spitting, you're out there, you're learning the skill sets. So have you just stopped DJing at this point? Stopped mixing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I still do it for fun, but there's so many sick DJs out there. I've got so many great DJ friends. I felt like so many brilliant women were making moves in that as well, but
it's cool that you've got that, but it's in the locker. Do you know what I mean? It's in the locker.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't overlook it, man. Like a lot of people don't know how to mix or whatever. So the fact that
It's
you've got
definitely
that
helpful
there,
knowing what DJs are
sick.
doing as well, isn't it? Like I know you mix as well. Like
Yeah.
it's helpful knowing what they're doing when you're MCing. It's like
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. And why not have that option to be self-sufficient should you need it at some point? Do you know what I mean? That's what I like.
What you mean, like
about
doing
it.
a one-woman set sort of thing?
Well, just like, yeah, I don't mean this in any particular way. I just think I feel good about the fact that if someone called me up today and said, jump on a plane to out of Mongolia, come and do a set for us, but we can't afford to bring a DJ, I'll be like, that's cool. Got my USBs, I'll do the whole thing, mate. No problem.
Yeah,
that's great.
Wicked.
It's not because I don't want to work with DJs. It's nothing. I'm just saying, like, wicked. We can do it, and you can mix as well, so you can do it.
I've never tried to do tried to do them both really at once, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's like anything. You could do it if you spent a couple of hours practicing. You could do it. Like,
I'm really impressed when people do it. Like when Strats does it, when like Injured does it as well. Like it is very cool.
Yeah, they're next level.
Yeah,
I'm at beginner stages, and do you know what? I have played out, and the thing for me is that it is great, but I just feel like maybe this will change as I get better at it or more experience. But I feel like the DJing slightly suffers because you've got to keep one eye on the MCing, and the MCing slightly suffers because you've got to keep an eye on what's going on the decks. So like I feel like the still the ultimate setup for me is just having a great DJ to work with.
Yeah,
that's playing exactly what you want them to play, and you can just go fully in and connect with the crowd, and they have to keep looking at the cue points and oh shit, that track's about to run
agree.
out. Do you know what I mean? But like we said, self-sufficiency. So okay, so yeah, you're out there, you're doing your thing. What about the studio side of things then? Oh no, sorry, one thing I was going to ask you, were you able to adapt any of your poetry, let's say bars, like your poems? Could you use poems in your early experiences as an MC? Was that a thing?
Definitely. That was what I was working with a lot of the time. Like some of my tunes are direct sort of adaptations of spoken word poems I had. So yeah, that was where it came. Not all of them. Like sometimes I write more starting with a flow and starting with like the intention of what I want to say as an MC, but a lot of my material, a lot of like music, I think in particular, has come from what was originally just a poem.
Yeah. I'd like to, well, actually, I was about to say, I'd like to hear you Don't worry, I'm not going to put you on the spot here. I just mean in general terms, you know, I'd like to hear you doing some poetry, but then I was listening to some of your music, your back catalogue earlier today, and there are little elements of spoken word within some of the breakdowns on certain tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
And that really stood out to me. I was like, oh, hello, I like this bit. You know, that really jumped out at me. And I was like, when do you ever hear that? I don't know. Like, I know there's been tracks back in the day, like Crust did a epic tune once with the poet. I feel like I want to say Saul Williams, but that don't
Oh
at
yeah,
me
yeah.
if
Saul
that isn't him.
Williams. Yeah.
Was it Coded Language? Anyway, but yeah, it's not like a everyday thing in the world of DNB, is it, that you hear spoken word? So yeah, I'm here for that.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'd like to hear some more of that. So what are your first memories of getting into the studio? So you're cutting your teeth out live, working with DJs, building the skill set. What about getting into the studio and now recording music?
I've got a really good first memory for that, to be fair. Like the first time I went studio with producers to make music was my mate Sika, who's a sick DJ and producer from Manchester, just invited me to go studio. And in Manchester, and I remember being proper nervous about it. I was like, oh, what am I going to bring? What am I going to do? And I didn't know this, but he also shouted his mate to come along, who's called Portrait. And it was the first time I met this guy called Portrait. And I think we were both a bit even shyer because we were like, oh, we don't know each other, creative things. But he ended up becoming like, he's one of my closest collaborators, one of my best friends. And that was the day that we met. And we just went pirate and started throwing around ideas. And this came from a poem as well, actually. I think there was something I had to do at uni where in this poetry, like creative writing society we did this collab with this photography group who had taken photos of Bristol, and they wanted poems writing for each like picture that they'd taken of Bristol. And I got a photo of a homeless man to write a poem about. And I was looking for things to try and put to this tune, and I found this little bit of text that I'd written about homelessness, about sort of roaming the streets, trying not to do it in too much of like a negative context. But anyway, this tune ended up becoming a tune that my first ever release, which is called Homeless, like two separate words, Homeless. And it's about...
I'm familiar with it. Do you know what's so cool is that, honestly, I listened to your whole playlist earlier, and that was my favourite one.
Oh, no way.
So that was cool that that's the first one that you did.
Yeah,
and there's the little story behind it, because I don't know, I'm surprised that that's the first one, because it sounds very I don't know what the word is. Like, it sounds really accomplished. I know you didn't produce it, but the production's
that's
great.
Thanks
your
to
vocal
Portrait
sounds great. The flow
Portrait
in
in
it,
particular, is very, very good at vocal production. And I think in a way it sort of gave me slightly unrealistic expectations for working in the studio from there, because we kind of made that tune. I was like, right, great. All I have to do is
spoiled your first ever track, and it's a banger.
and it'll be done. And then I learned that there's actually a lot that goes into making vocals sound good on a track, and a lot of people, I didn't know what goes into that, and a lot of producers who are really good at making music might not necessarily understand that element of it as well. So yeah, that triggered a whole more learning process. But I was really lucky that first studio session ended up in a first tune, and it's one of my favorites still because of that. And in a really close collaborator and good friend as well. So
what year was that?
Oh gosh,
because I couldn't find I was looking for the year and I couldn't seem to find it.
Oh, I don't know if I can see without checking.
Well, don't worry. But yeah, it was your first tune, so it's.
I was probably like 25, probably like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I reckon. Yeah, I think.
Post lockdown era, right?
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah. So at what point did you come back from, like, you finished up in Bristol and moved back to Manchester?
Well, that's coming up to 3 years ago now. Okay. I think. Gosh, it's funny when you just haven't placed these on a timeline properly, how hard it is to think of it, isn't it? I think about 3 years ago now. Came back home and have been home since, which has been nice. I still go back to Bristol as often as I can. I think that, like you said, you've still got you've bit of skin in Manchester. Once you've lived somewhere, you just form a bit of a bond with it, don't you? And you've always got it to go back to, and you always know
Yeah.
where you're going when you come back. You know those roads, you know where things are. You feel a bit at home. Like even if you've not lived there in ages, you've sort of earned. You keep a little bit in that place, and yeah, I think that's a really nice part of living in different places.
Yeah, yeah. I know we're jumping around a bit here, but it doesn't matter. There's no. It's my podcast. There's no rules.
No, yeah.
I'm talking to myself really, but yeah, just talking about being in Bristol and MCing and stuff. Because you were saying that you still go back there a lot. You were there recently, fairly recently, for that Shade Sonics
Yeah,
event, I believe.
Ratsos
Yeah.
event.
What was that
Yeah.
like?
It was sick. Yeah, big up Ratso.
Because on paper that was a sick lineup. I
Yeah.
looked at that and thought, yeah, man, that's a bit of me. And it was you and Kaizen T
Yeah,
on
he's
the
sick.
mic.
He's sick. And Kids Icarus as well was sick.
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
really sick MC. Yeah, it was really good, man. I love what Ratso is doing with Shade Sonics. Like, I went down for the first one because me and him have chatted for a while, and we've got a couple whips in progress. But he, really nice, dark, minimal underground vibes. Like, just really good sort of music. I'm really happy spitting over. Yeah, so
Yeah.
stuff like that. I'm
There's a
always
nice
happy.
space. There's a lot of space there, isn't there, for us MCs to do our thing.
Yes, definitely.
It's
That
was
dark
it
minimal sort of sound.
multi genre? Was it like garage and 140 and DNB?
It was mainly DNB, to be fair. I think maybe a bit of 140, but mainly DNB at that one. Yeah, it was good. Crown's a sick little venue as well, and
Yeah, a
basement
little
vibes.
dungeon.
Yeah,
Red
really
light,
good
low
crowds.
ceiling.
Yeah.
Slap the walls up. Yeah, sick.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
big up all the Bristol crew.
Mhm.
Because you can sit on all these rhythms, can't you? These different tempos. I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying to
you can
get
do
all
the
this.
140 thing with finesse.
Yeah, I love 140, man. I love it. I think I'm still a bit more confident in D&B, but that's always like an area that I want to do more of. 140 garage as well, working on a garage tune. Like, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to be able to do a bit of everything, isn't it? And be able to switch between things. And yeah, being able to adapt your flow and see what works where. One BPM that I always find hard is like 160, like when people play like sort of slow breaksy jungle stuff.
Yeah. No,
I've
I
spoken
get
to a
that.
few
I get
MCs
that.
where we're like, yeah, it's kind of hard. Like the 140 bars don't really go, the D&B bars don't really go.
Yeah, because you
So that's an
can't.
area for growth still.
You've either got to chat quite fast, or you've got to
Mm.
chat like a sort of really super slow half speed, almost like singy chant kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Because the in between doesn't. It's almost like the rap style is too slow.
Yeah.
That's what I find in one. Give me some tips, man, because you sound sick on 140. Like you've got the pattern, you've got the style. So give me some tips, because I've never chatted to 140. Like I said earlier, I started on garage, but that was more just messing about. So I'm hearing so much 140 with like Tej and Amos and some of the people that I love working with. You know, Scotty, they're sick at like the 140 stuff, and I'm thinking, I like this music, and I get opportunities to host those sets.
Yeah.
But I
It
don't really
surprises me
have
how
bars,
few.
and I don't really have like, if I'm in a good freestyle mode, okay, cool, I could probably weave in and out and do it to a certain level.
Definitely. You'd go so
Yeah,
hard
give
on
me some tips.
140.
Like I need to get better at
I
spitting on
don't think I'm the
140.
person to give tips on 140, to be honest. Compared to you, that really surprises me. Sometimes I've written bars that are kind of like quite relaxed on drum and bass, and then I've tried them on 40 like hard, and they sound way harder when I'm doing it fast. Or
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes I've just lifted bars that maybe aren't that hard on drum and bass, and then I've tried it on 140 and sped up, and I'll be like, yeah, that works. Or
Okay.
other times, I'm trying to think when I've written stuff that's specific to 140. I've had to when I've had 140 sets, I've really had to sometimes prep and think, what have I got that I can spit to 140, because it's not as automatic what comes into my brain, and do a little mind map of like what actually fits and practice and stuff like that. So a lot of it is just stuff that I've adapted or done in a slightly different tempo to drum and bass. I can't think of any specific tips for writing specific to 140, but it's something that I'm going to keep doing. So if I do think of anything that that
Yeah,
makes it better,
let me know, please.
I'll let you know. But I think I thought I'd be more likely to ask you for advice on anything in that fruit fill for sure.
No, I'm here to step it up this year. I need to step into some different territory a little bit. Do you know what
I'm
I
so
mean?
ready
Put
for that.
myself to the
Focus
test.
on
And
140.
do
Yeah.
you practice a lot? Are you at home writing and practicing? Well, there are two things. I was talking about this the other day, but I kind of think of it like you got the creation stage, and then you've got the I can never bloody say it, consolidation stage. By
Ooh, I
which I
like that.
mean, if you could write for the rest of your life, but if you never stop and learn it and consolidate, then is it writing for the sake of writing? So I feel like you need to have the right harmony between the two. So
I love that.
yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that's a great label for it, the consolidation stage for sure. And it is so necessary because, first of all, you've not only got to memorize it, but you've got to like internalize it in a way that it's natural to perform. And I think for that, I wish I need to do that more, to be honest. That's something that I know I need to do more because some of the bars that I still like draw for quickly when I'm on mic are really old. And I know that I've written better stuff since, but I've not internalized it yet, or I've not rehearsed it
100.
enough
Do
yet.
you know what I would say? If a lot of MCs, well, the ones that I know anyway, if they're being honest, I think most people would say the same thing. Like if we just all knew what was in our pads, we'd just be deadly.
Yeah.
And we are deadly because we can flip it up and we can work in the heat of the moment, and we've got the repertoire from. But yeah, I think sometimes you've got there's this urge to like, you've got to be writing all the time, write fresh bars. But, and obviously, yeah, boom, creation stage, 100%. But yeah, just learning what's in the pad as well. Because like you just said, it's not just like memorizing it. You can't just like recite it on stage. You've got to inject flow and finesse and style and all the other attributes that we've sort of touched on a bit.
Definitely get it to that sort
yeah.
of automatic stage. I think that, having like I do write a lot with the intention of trying to make music these days, and I think that does, when you've got an aim that you're going to record it and you're going to send it off and you're going to try and create a finished piece, the process of that automatically means that you have to learn it, internalize it, make it better, consolidate it. And then when you've been doing that and you've got those bars sort of already the performance of it is already in mind, then that's a bit more ready to come in to the rave. But I do want to put more effort into consolidating bars for the sake of raves alone, and not just for finishing tunes as well, because like the stuff that I've written that I don't always come back to, and I don't find the time to go and sift through and figure out what I want to say. And I know that it would be better to have times doing that, but sometimes just having those freestyle rehearsal sessions, just playing the tunes and just spitting and seeing what comes out, what naturally comes to the surface of your brain that might be a little bit from here, a little bit from there. Sometimes that leads me to like, okay, that's coming a bit more natural. That's something I should explore a bit harder. That's something that I should, try and improve, try and work on that little bar, that little idea there, rather than sitting there and actually reading through it, just seeing what comes up. Sometimes that helps as well.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think that the process of writing something particular for a certain track and going through that process, that does lock it into the memory, doesn't it, a bit more? So when you're on stage, the ones that you tend to, I don't know if you're the same, but I tend to find it easier to think, oh, what are the last 10 tracks that I've done? And then you can think of those lyrics. But if you've written something that isn't for a track, like let's just call it rave bars, they're just fun bars, like, and you haven't bothered to sit down and learn them, then sometimes they're not quite on the tip of the tongue as much.
Do you do that? Like, if you're thinking about what bars to do on a set, what's your thought process? Like, do you go back to like recent tracks, or what do I normally start a set with? Like, I'd be interested to know your sort of pattern of what you,
it can
where
change.
You
do you know what?
from.
To be honest with you, right, the best ones, if I'm thinking about it, it is arguably an indication that I'm not really enjoying the set as much as I'd like to be, because the best ones are where I'm not even really thinking. And I don't know if you've ever had this, but sometimes my best sets, the ones that I think, internally for me are like, yeah, that was a sick set. I might have not hardly done any lyrics because I'm so in it that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not even touched like the repertoire, the catalogue or whatever you want to call it. It's like, but that set was sick. It was vibes. It was just all felt effortless. And sometimes, then there's nothing wrong with this either, but, you know, for whatever reason, it could be a million different things, but you're kind of thinking your way through the set a little bit more than feeling your way through it. And therefore you are standing there, could almost be a mid-flow, but thinking like with the other side of the brain, right, I'm going to do that lyric next. And
that takes you away out the moment.
Yeah, and then you get the ones that are a real grind, and like we've all been here, where you have to like get the phone out or like check your notes quickly to remind yourself, because you can't even think of like, because it's just not clicking on that particular night, and then you really are sort of in just having to go to the phone, for instance, or you know, just it can feel a bit more like the cogs are really having to be turned. You know?
For sure. Definitely been there as well. But yeah, you're right. I think that the ones where it just becomes automatic and you're feeling the way through, that is the best way to describe it. And, you know, the bars just come to you and they're just there and they just fit perfectly when you're fully in that state. That's like the dream, isn't it? When it feels like that.
Flow state style.
Yeah, flow state style.
But you're prolific in the studio. Like you've done a lot, even in the last couple of years. Like you've done a lot of, but you created a lot of music, and it's all quite varied as well. It's not just one style. I don't think there's anything wrong with an artist like really going in on one style, but you haven't done that. Like there's some techie stuff. Obviously, you work a bit with the Phase Records.
Yeah, shouts to the Phase family. Yes,
yeah, man. So that's a little bit more kind of like techie. Is that? Would you agree? Is that the right word? It's techie sound.
Yeah, Scattermall. Scattermall is the
Scattermall. Yeah. Okay, I've not heard that.
Scattermall.
Okay.
Too scatty to be minimal, but too minimal to be neuro.
The
kind of Phase Records sort of sound.
I get it. Yeah, I like that. And then you've got your I'm not going to try and describe all stuff. Then you've got your sofa sound stuff. There's like 140 bits on there. So how was that with Sofa Sound? Because you said like you grew that was a label and a collective and a crew that you followed as a raver.
Massively,
and were around like at some of the nights in Bristol, and you've had 2 releases on Sofa Sound label now.
Yeah, with Brain. Shouts to Brain. That was really, really super exciting. To get to work with Sofa Sound and do a couple of shows. I did a show with It all happened because Onset, who did the collective nights in Bristol, he started another night that lasted for a while called Balance Bristol with Holly May, and that was also at Crofters Rights, which was amazing. And through doing a show there, or through Amy getting booked there with Holly May, and then me coming along and hopping on mic, Onset invited me down to do a swoosh show for Sofa Sound, like a takeover, and I was like, oh wow, that's massive, that's so exciting. Can't believe I can do that. Came down to Bristol on the bus to do that, and DLR's just there at part of the show, which I wasn't expecting at all. And so I was pretty like starstruck and amazed and like, wow, I've looked up to this label for so long. And he happened to be driving back to Manchester that night, so happened to offer me a lift, and I was like,
no way, how mad is that?
So I did the show, and then was in a car for 3 hours just chatting to DLR, and he's such a great guy. And like nothing kind of, I remember thinking, oh, that was just really good to get to know him and stuff. And then a bit later he asked me to come down and do Brighton show for Molecular's album launch at Volks with Sofa Sound, which was incredible. Freddie B and Gusto and Mike as well. Like, what an honour to be a part of that. And that was where I met Brain, who's incredible artist from Colombia, from Bogota. And I was aware of him before because I spent a bit of time in Colombia as part of my year abroad when I was like 21. And I met the drum and bass scene in Bogota then because I was just looking for raves and trying to find DNB people, and I found them and stayed in touch with them as friends. And when Brain came to the UK, they messaged me like, oh, you've got to go meet Brain. And met him at this thing, and then we just decided to hop in, go do a studio session, started making Shadows of the Night. And yeah, he's just a great producer as well that I've got a real good creative chemistry with, and we're really good friends now. And he's got a great work ethic as well, and like, yeah, we just work quickly and good together, and have had some really nice studio times. So yeah, off the back of that, thanks to Brain, got a couple of releases on Sofa Sound, which was
Wicked.
real pleasure to make, and real nice moment to get to release on that label.
Yeah, I love those full circle moments where you've gone from like raver in the crowd to essentially being part of the team. Do you know what I mean? And that's so cool. I love that. Is it serendipity? Is that the right word? But like, DLR just happens to be driving back to Manchester that night.
Yeah, it works out well, doesn't it?
I love how that sort of stuff works.
Very lucky. That's what I mean. Like just saying yes to everything, going and doing everything.
Yeah.
Like you never know. Like you might not be getting. It might cost you a bit of money to get down there or whatever, but if you're doing it for the love, you're doing it. Things align. It's investment. It aligns, and it's all about the best thing about being involved with the scene, and it's the people that you meet, the relationships you form, and what you get to learn from it. Like getting to meet you as well, and getting to have so many great conversations with you in the past that have been like super beneficial for me in so many different ways. Like it's all the more you put in, the more you get out, and the more you're open to these opportunities, the more things are going to come to you. And just acting from what's aligned to you, where you want to go, where feels right, like that takes you a long way in life, I think. And it's not easy to do sometimes, but having the courage to do it really pays off.
Yeah, you do have to be courageous. I think that's a good word, actually, because it's not, I don't know if it's society or like the sort of typical conditioning is like life in the life as a creative. Sometimes you feel like it's not the sensible option.
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've got keeping that faith and that belief in it can sometimes be the trickiest bit.
We've spoken about this. Yeah, like sometimes you can feel guilt for doing it, and for following those creative dreams, and that it's not the right option and it's not sensible. But I think that is by design a little bit to make you feel those things. And I think you've got to remember that, to let your creativity really bloom. And I've thought about this a lot with myself, trying to allow myself to engage in the creative process fully, and also in trying to help other people do it. 'Cause sometimes I do writing workshops for kids and creative things like that. You've got to see I do think you've got to think of your creativity, your creative process in the way that a child's creative, and look after that as if it's your inner creative child, your inner artist child, and allow yourself to have fun, allow yourself to feel safe and enjoy, and do things without putting pressure and expectations that you would put on yourself as an adult onto that frame of mind. And sorry, a bit of a tangent, but
not at all. Nice. It's not a tangent at all, man. 1,000%. I love that childlike curiosity and fun is like, it needs to be at the core. No wonder people end up feeling so blocked creatively when the level of pressure and expectation, like you just said, like even the mere thought of doing something creative almost triggers this like wave of resistance.
Yeah, I've had that.
Like, imagine if we just went
time.
to like, the childhood curiosity, like you said, like as some people might be sitting there thinking, what is really as simple as that? But to a degree, go back to when it was fun and exciting and light. You know what I mean? And interact with creativity. What I to say really quickly, just because it came up yesterday, I'll just share it with you, is that this is not my words, but this is Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote a book called Big Magic. I love it. I just literally read it again for the third time last week. And the bit that really stuck in my mind, and I was speaking to someone about this, and they found it helpful, and it really resonates with me, is that what if creativity and inspiration and these things, they're not actually inside us. They're like things that come and choose to interact with us. So rather than sitting there going, right, I must be creative, I must channel my I must turn on my creativity today. It's like, what if you just show up and allow yourself to connect with this almost like magical force of creativity that's kind of floating around in the atmosphere, and if you make it attractive enough, it might just float down and choose to hook up with you that day, and then something good happens. Okay. Rather
than it being inside you, like tapping into that source and allowing it. And
this thing you've got to like grab around the throat and go, right, come on, we must be creative today, it's got to happen. I've got to write these new bars. And it's just like, well,
It's not going to work.
But who knows, man? Everyone creates from a different place. I'm not mocking. I don't mean that in a mocking way. Like, everyone creates differently. And I could talk to you about this for a long time. I'm conscious of the time, and there's two things I'd like to really quickly touch on, if I may, and then we'll just move forwards to wrapping this up. But
Sure.
I'll be annoyed at myself if we don't quickly just touch on this. So
Yeah.
just two things. As we're talking about your back catalogue and your work in the studio, I feel there's something significant about the Eden project that you did.
Oh yeah.
Because
Maybe.
Really, you tell me if it's significant to you, but I just feel like it's almost like a concept project, which isn't necessarily the norm within drum and bass, and it intrigued me a little bit.
Yeah, so my real name's Eve, and I think I always had gratitude that I got named the name of the first, biblical story of the woman in the biblical creation story. And I feel like I've not brushed up on my background to that EP for a bit. But so I wanted to reframe the idea of Eve being blamed for causing the fall of man, reframe it as a sort of rejection of the rules, a rejection of patriarchal rule, a rejection of being told what to do, and reframe her eating the apple, the act of disobedience, as sort of a conscious choice to not do what's been told, not to do what's been expected. Sort of, a feminist manifesto behind it. That was the angle I wanted to come at from it. And it was something that had been brewing and bubbling in my brain for like a long time. And it was always what I wanted to do as a first sort of project. So that was my intention with the writing. And my intention with making the music was I wanted to try and work with producers from different places to try and like set each tune in a different area of these areas that I've been trying to network in, these areas that I'm trying to branch out more. So one's Manchester with Portrait. I wanted to make a tune there. One's in Bristol with a producer called Mark Oman, who I knew through poetry. Actually, he was someone I met through poetry societies at uni. And then one's in Birmingham with a sick producer called Comatose. And then finally London is with Gifter and Charis for Applebite. And my plan was to try and tell this story over 4 parts and also set it in like a modern rave sphere to also bring in the idea of the sort of female experience within the drum and bass scene. And I did a little tour with amazing Kyber. She put it out on Drop Jaw Audio on a record label, which I'm so grateful for. And me and her did 4 little shows in those places with some of those artists and some of the local people. And it was that was in 2024, and it was that was the Eden EP. It was a lot of fun. It was good. It taught me a lot.
You absolutely nailed it. I listened to it earlier, and like it's not an easy, I don't know, you make it sound kind of effortless in the storytelling and the narration, to use your word, but they're not kind of like easy. They're quite complex subjects, as what you're just describing, like, the fall of man and all this kind of thing. Like, they're not like easy subject necessarily to tackle, and especially at like 174 beats per minute drum and bass, So yeah, people go and, after this episode finishes, go and check out Vispera's Eden EP.
The Eden EP.
And listen to it from start to finish, because it's a concept project, isn't it? It tells a story, and I feel like it's meant to be listened to in the right order from start to finish,
I guess so. Yeah. It was it was really, really, not just in sense of like getting what I wanted to say out there, but the process of learning how to put it together. And it took a lot longer than I thought it would originally to make and put out. So it was a good, it taught me a lot about the process of making music and working with people and collaborating. And it was really fun to make. I still haven't finished that in a lot of ways. I've still got like music videos
Part 2
unedited. Just like,
oh really?
From the original one. Yeah, I mean, there might be some remixes for some of the tunes at some point, but
come on.
Yeah, I still have bits of that I want to tie up at some point.
We need to hear that. We need to see that. We need to see that shit. Yeah, and you say a lot. You say like listeners, you'll hear this when you listen to Vispera. Like this is not like some slow rapping. Like she's putting a lot of words into her bars, and yeah, you're telling stories at a fast pace. Yeah, man,
trying
skillful.
to.
How you doing it, man? Come on, you're doing it. All right, okay. Do you want to say anything about Minimal Damage? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that's your event, right?
Yeah, Minimal Damage. Yes. So I wanted to start doing some minimal DNB focus events in Manchester for a little while, and it just so happened that Brain, who I mentioned earlier, he had a wicked album out on Sofa Sound called Trust. Oh, but it was his Dispatch album as well that he wanted to launch in Manchester, and I wanted to help him do a launch party in Manchester. This was a year ago. He knew I wanted to start doing events, so we just thought, oh, you know what, let's just do this as a thing together, and then put it on at a place called Eagle Inn in Manchester, which unfortunately I've heard isn't doing nightclub nights anymore. So might have to think of somewhere else. But we've had 4 events; they've been really good. Just little undergrounds, like local ones, but it's been fun. I think doing the Eden tour, you know, one of the things I learned from that was how to organize an event, how to promote an event, how much events cost and all of that. So I think I just thought, you know what, I learn how to do that now. I'm going to have a go at do it with Minimal Damage. It's been a bit quieter this year just because I've had quite a lot of other stuff going on in my other work life, but I still want to keep it going as an active platform. It's been the best thing about it really is just getting people together and playing music for each other and, you know, fostering a sense of community. I think that's, you know, what we want from drum and bass events more than anything really. So I'm trying to think about ways that I can keep that going still while maybe it being a little bit less demanding on the promo front or things like that. But yeah, shouts to the Min Dam gang, to everyone that's been involved with that so far.
Wicked. Yeah, grassroots, underground, lifeblood of the scene. It's important. And big up yourself for doing that, and big up all promoters, because it's not easy. Like even putting on 4 events, even that consistency is impressive. Like these promoters that have been going for years, if not decades. Yeah, it's a challenging. It's not easy being a promoter. So
it is.
Big up.
It's just like you know what you could be doing to promote an event. You know that if you go to all lengths, you could be letting everyone know about it. You're very aware of all the things you could be doing, and it's like trying to, you know, how much do you actually do of those things while still keeping some money in your bank account and keeping sane and keeping, it's a lot to balance. But
keeping sane is the one. Yeah, we've
it's always worth
me
it.
Me and my friend run an event, and we've got our next one in 4 weeks, and
oh, wicked.
I do sometimes wake up at like 4:30 in the morning. Well, I wake up at that. I'm awake anyway, but I'm lying there this morning thinking, oh, we need to do that. But the mad thing is these days, isn't it? As I'm sure you know, like 75% of your ticket sales are in the last 7 days.
Yeah.
We started promoting this 2 months ago. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's that last 7 days that where you really see the traction, or even on the day, like people just. Do you even buy a ticket? It's so tricky, isn't it, when you're an artist, because you don't really have to think about necessarily buying tickets for stuff anymore. But I don't know if I would buy a ticket for an event like 2 months in advance. Would you?
If you know you don't need to, if you know it's not going to sell out, then why would you? You know, like,
suppose,
you know you can get it later. And I guess to support the promoter. That's why people have got to do it, really, isn't
True.
it? But it's
people buy your tickets. Don't listen to me. What I meant to say. Sorry, I got that completely. I would buy a ticket 3 months in advance.
Yep.
Just to support the promoter. That's what I meant.
It goes such a long way, and I think when you get so much out of the scene, when you get so much, you know, when you care about it so much, it's not a super expensive way to put back into it. And you know, sometimes I buy tickets for stuff now, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to go because I'm like, you know what. They're putting on an event, buy it now, the ticket's there. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to be doing on that night in the line, but I'd rather that £6 or whatever has gone somewhere towards that than it just staying in my pocket. You know, I think it's like...
support it, yeah.
It's a shame that it gets to that point that we need to, you know, ask that of people, but I think, you know, grassroots really needs support. And shout outs to Croquettes as well, to Jabba, what she's doing with the Save the Venues movement. And, you know, supporting grassroots is something that we all benefit from, everyone benefits from, and we all get something from. And it really, that's the place where you can really foster that sense of community and make great connections. So yeah, I 100% encourage anyone to keep supporting grassroots events and go to the little ones and see how great they are.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Underground, we support you.
Yes.
Well, look, eyes on the time. Let's wrap this up. So there's 2 closing traditions. The first one is one of these annoying things where you get put on the spot and you have to think of something, and later you probably think, I should have said this, but it's the ultimate MC cypher. Okay, so you pick 5 MCs. They could be past or present, dead or alive, any style, any genre. And you are sitting there watching these 5 MCs in a cypher going in. Could be over different types of music, whatever. I suppose to put it in a less complicated way, what 5 MCs are you picking to put in your cypher?
So 5 MCs to like watch in a cypher. I don't have to go up against them.
No. You don't. Well, look, you can be in it if you want, but no, you don't have to be involved. You're there as a spectator, as a fan, watching your 5 MCs just going in.
Okay, I'm gonna do a predominantly female one. I'm gonna do Lauryn Hill, EVE, Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC, R.I.P. I'm going to put in Strategy as well because he's my modern day idol. I think he's brilliant. And who else am I going to put in there? Let's go Andre 3000 for flow.
Okay.
I don't think I've mentioned him yet. Yeah.
I like this.
First answer. That's what I'm imagining.
Yeah, don't overthink
I want to hear
it.
Stratz's Salford accent against all those American.
I reckon that can run. Yeah. That's a good one, man. I like that. Yeah. Different. I like that. Wicked, man. Big up. Okay. The only thing left to do before we bid the listeners farewell is for me to shut up and let you spit something a cappella.
Spit something a cappella. Okay.
You up for it?
Yes, I'm up for it. Let's go. Stand tall, keeping foot upon the ball, keeping humble in award. Pride comes before a fall. Disproportionate times a woman feels subordinate claws to the mainstream of thought. Power to the cause. Sheep gather to salute while their stables getting loot. They're promising the vulnerable, but shepherds in cahoots. Because the language of these leaders is disfiguring the truth. Convoluted, a spoof, out their evil from the roof. Like a cat upon a hot tin, I'm anxious that we'll not win. Been rallying the troops, but they want youth to never opt in. Switch on and we can stop them swaying followers. Some vote without a brain, but know the ruler's heart is hollower. Vision clouded by the ignorance they foster. In the cloak of privilege come greedy imposters. Listen more. Every rebel needs a cause. If I'm seeming untoward, then you're feeling all my force.
Hey. And that, people, is Vispera.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on Like-Minded People, Feel Focus. What a pleasure it's been talking.
I've thoroughly enjoyed that. And thank you for making the time. I know you got a busy evening, so it was great to be able to do this. And we could easily chat for a lot longer. But do you know what? I've actually also enjoyed just kind of getting into it and not drawing it out too much either. Do you know what I mean? I think it's
we've covered quite a lot.
A lot of ground in quite a short period of time, and I think it's that's whetted, if that's the right expression, whetted people's appetites. And now we're about to wrap this up. They can go wherever they consume their music and go and dig into your back catalogue, and I highly recommend that they do so.
Nice. Hopefully, it'll be a bit bigger by this time next year. Working.
It's quality over quantity. That's what we like.
Quantity. Yes.
So, peeps, we're going to sign out as Vispera. Me Feel Focus. If you're watching this on YouTube, look, do all the usual stuff. We need to say this stuff, innit? Follow, like, subscribe, share, etc. YouTube people, you can listen on Spotify and Apple, and vice versa. Loads more to come. In the meantime, from Me Feel Focus and from Vispera, peace.